I think it's fair to say that few studios have a reputation for consistent quality and engagement than FromSoft. From Demon's Souls and Dark Souls to Bloodborne, Sekiro and Armored Core, they have consistently delivered banger after banger, arguably hitting their peak with the media monolith that was Elden Ring. Making a new game in the world of Elden Ring was always going to be a mammoth task. The IP has such brand recognition that sales were a given regardless of what form it would take, but even then this was a risk. An open world, completely multiplayer focused, 3-person pseudo-road-like experience using reused assets from Elden Ring and FromSoft's previous litany of Dark Fantasy Souls games. On paper, absolutely a novel idea, and one that could deliver an engaging challenge and rewarding experience for a well-coordinated trio of tempered tarnished, and for the most part, an idea that absolutely succeeds, albeit with some noticeable shortcomings that just hold it back from the upper tables of the gold standard that the studio is known for. This is Elden Ring Nightreign. Now, as always, a big thankies goes to Bandai Namco for this review copy of Nightreign. Everything you're seeing was recorded on an Xbox Series X, and there will be more about that later, so stay tuned. Now, I'm going to be talking about this in the frame of what it is. A game with a much smaller scope than its behemoth of an older brother. This is a smaller title, clocking in at about 20GB on console, utilising a much smaller but very dense map of various landmarks and points of interest. But I have found myself very surprised by the sheer amount of content on offer. The basic gameplay loop of Nightreign is thus. From your main hub, which is a version of the Round Table Hold from Elden Ring, you pick a character from a selection of 8 pre-built classes, 6 to start with, 2 more to unlock, ranging from meaty warrior to archer to spell slinger or freedom eagle man. From there you can either bring in friends or matchmake with randoms to assemble your team of 3 and get dumped into a large map which is essentially a fractured mashup of various Elden Ring locales like churches, camps, mines and swamps. It's basically if Fortnite was a goddamn nightmare. The goal is to gain runes, better equipment, spells and items scattered around the map or dropped by bosses, and make your way through 3 nights of the game. As you explore in battle, a circle of purple flames will be encroaching, shrinking the map in stages until you reach the final circle and an end boss for that night. Think of any battle royale game. Bosses on the map obviously have better loot pools than regular chests and enemies and can also offer buffs to stamina or health, FP, among other things, but as would be expected of a FromSoft game, they are not going to give up their shiny innards without a fight. Beat the end of night boss and progress to the next, culminating in a fight against a Night Lord on night 3. Whether you win or not, you will still get rewards based on your progress in the forms of relics, which can be used to strengthen your characters for new runs, and currency to be used in the game's hub shop for emotes, unique character items, even more relics, rinse and repeat. The gameplay is, well, it's Elden Ring. Light and heavy attacks, jump attacks, dodge rolls, parries, spells, weapon arts and counter strikes. It's just as fun, just as tight, with a huge pool of weapons and equipment to use. Of course, some characters are better suited for certain weapons. Defeated enemies drop runes which can be used at sites of grace to level up. These levels are preset, so there is no tweaking strength or dex here. Your stats increase depending on the character chosen, and every time you get murked by one of the Nightraign's many baddies, you will not only drop any rooms you had unspent, but also lose a level, requiring you not only to get the runes back, but also now need to respend to regain the level you lost, repeatedly. One of the best things about the bosses in this is the variety available. You will fight many an Elden Ring classic, but I was genuinely surprised about just how many classic enemies have made an appearance, and seeing them pop up out of the fog has been a strange mix of nostalgia and abject terror. Now, I'm not going to name any of the ones I've came across outside of any gameplay I'm showing, as honestly I think it's better for people to be surprised. Now, as much fun as I've been having mucking about again in the lands between, there are some things which I think need to be addressed. For starters, there is a real issue with the available ways to play the game, or lack thereof, with you having the option to either go it alone solo or 3 players. That's it. 1 or 3. Done. Since the first official patch for the game, solo mode has been made a bit more forgiving, allowing a one-time self-revive against the Night Lord, and increased runes for each enemy defeated. However, enemy density and bosses themselves are still clearly geared towards that 3-player scaling, and the game is punishing alone, even by FromSoft's already brutal standards. Now, in fairness, FromSoft themselves have stated that the lack of duos was a mistake on their part and is meant to be implemented sometime in the future. The other issue, which I think trumps all others, and by no means is this an issue unique to FromSoft, is the total lack of crossplay between different platforms. Yet again, another massively hyped, eagerly anticipated third-party title built around multiplayer has a segregated player base. Now, I know people will say, yes, but this game has sold millions of units and you don't need crossplay. But honestly, if I think about it, different games have different install bases, not just in terms of popularity of certain games on certain platforms, but principally the popularity of those platforms themselves. PlayStation 5 outsells the Xbox by a ratio of 5 to 1. The vast majority of console sales for Nightreign are going to be on Sony's flagship console, and the rest are mostly going to be on PC via Steam. Now, the review code Bandai have gave me is for the Xbox. It's all well and good, and I am very thankful. But already I'm seeing long wait times for matchmaking, as it just doesn't have the player base to sustain it, and we're only a couple of weeks into the game's life cycle. A good case of point is the relatively recent released Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, another long-awaited multiplayer third-party title, which is now near dead as people were locked into their platform for matchmaking. The same argument could also be made for Bleach Rebirth of Souls, much more recently released, and again another Bandai Namco published title, again no crossplay. Trying to find a match for that on Xbox is arduous at best. I am part of many a community online, across multiple Discord and social circles, social apps and whatnot. Do you know how many people that I personally know that are playing Nightreign on Xbox? 1. Me. This means I have to rely on randoms to get the full experience, and FromSoft games are notoriously bare bones for in-game communication options, so meaningful strategy is practically non-existent. I know they will most likely never add crossplay to this game, and I accept that, but it is going to have a negative effect on player retention eventually. And even if I did decide to buy a second copy of the game, a good chunk of my friendos are on PC, so even if I buy the game on 2 out of the 3 platforms it is available on, I would still be limited. I just really wanted to get all of that out the way, because in all honesty, all that being said, this is a great video game, well polished with tons to do and find, with a surprisingly low price point at around $35 for standard, just shy of $50 for deluxe. That's Helldivers pricing. And that's not only surprising, but very welcome, and I haven't even got to the other stuff like the new focus on verticality and speed. Characters run at a fair old clop and can squirrel their way up cliff faces, sometimes hilariously. Fall damage has been removed entirely, making for this absolutely comical sprint around the map, smashing up bosses, opening up chests and upgrading flasks. Merchants are dotted around, which offer a selection of goods, including smithing stones to upgrade gear, and the whole thing is fast-paced and fun while still delivering that trademark Souls challenge. Lastly, each character has their own unique story and lore. Each one has a series of remembrance quests which progress their story and place within the world. Completing these offers unique rewards, from character-specific relics to full cosmetic outfits. The map itself also has tons of secrets for you to find, as well as other challenges, which I will not spoil here. And once you've done all of this, tearing your way to Night 3 and facing a Night Lord, you're going to be met with some of the best bosses FromSoft have ever produced. Each Night Lord is unique in design and mechanics without feeling like a rehash of something that has came before. Some are more memorable than others, obviously, but genuinely there isn't a dud among them, and they are hard. I was genuinely concerned when this game was announced. I thought it was going to be a cash grab, a studio-mandated multiplayer hero game but with Elden Ring assets. And honestly, I'm so happy to be this wrong. This game is so much fun, and while I've had plenty of the classic FromSoft server disconnects, players randomly dropping out mid-run and terrible RNG for loot drops at times, I always want to go straight into another run. The atmosphere is, as always, immaculate. Sound design, art style, gameplay, mechanics, the tightness of the controls are, as always, on top form. And at the price they are asking for this game, you are getting a lot of bang for your buck. Now that the game is out and settles into the FromSoft patch cycle, I'm very excited to see what happens to this game in the weeks and months ahead. And honestly, by the time we start getting some new content, I doubt I will have seen 3/4 of the content this game has to offer. And it's another absolute win for FromSoft, and I can see the game having a very long and prosperous life cycle, if albeit maybe not equal on every platform. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you are enjoying the game, and if you are playing, let me know what platform you're on and what Nightfarer you main. Again, big thank you to my good buddies at Bandai Namco for giving me Nightreign to review, and I will say tatty bye, toodle pips, and cheerio.